Hey, guys.
Hey, Steiny, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing?
Hey.
Oh, dynamite.
Man.
Is there anybody at this table that doesn't believe the Niners are the best team in football today?
No, I thought it before the weekend too.
Wow.
I mean, that was that was as convincing as it gets. And my new slogan for the 49ers is 3 words, and it's all they need to win the Super Bowl this year. Pray for health.
And saw your video.
That's it. That's it. I don't really see anything else stopping them. And if that sounds overconfident, I don't believe it is. I don't believe it's prisoner of the moment. I felt that way after most of the games this year. There's a long story and a long list of things that we could all pick as reasons why for 3 weeks they went sideways.
But I think we know them.
But outside of that, I think one thing and we've talked about it, one thing's been true all along. If you look at the NFL and go take every team at their best, who's the best at their best? I've always thought that was the 49ers. And yesterday was.
What would you have said had I called you on the horn, honestly? Because I watch it like after that first
when it was
quarter.
6-0?
No, not just 6. It could have been 14, but the Niners looking like, Like I had that little
Dibs and I were just talking about this in the other room. My take, and I've heard you guys reference it a lot today, I think that's what Kyle Shanahan was talking about in the postgame presser when he said, I was mostly proud of the guys for weathering the storm. Like, there's a reason home field advantage is worth something in the spread. So that energy, that hyped up sound, the fans, the players, all the trash talk of the offseason, that all manifests itself right out the gate. And if you can weather that in the road building and only be down 6 when things then calm down and football takes over, well, if you're the Eagles in that situation, you're dead. It never stopped them.
Well, you needed to score touchdowns if you're the Eagles in that spot because you dominated the first quarter and you look at the scoreboard, one scoreboard for this game.
No doubt.
6-0, and it should have been 14-0 if you're the Eagles. You're thinking we dominated. They did nothing on offense. We drove down twice. We had everything we needed to have, and yet field goals, not touchdowns, and that wasn't good enough. And nobody knew that they'd score 6 consecutive touchdowns, the Niners would, but Philly would have thought, if we're up 14-0 after that quarter, at least you feel like you put the Niners in a tougher spot than 2 field goals. You're only down by 1 score, a score you would promptly get. You get the lead, and you never look back. So I credit the defense and mainly Charvarius Ward for keeping them afloat in that first quarter.
They're good. Defensive backfield.
All of a sudden now.
You could argue the whole game came down to defensive backfield. And this is what I was looking at with the Eagles and why I felt the way I did on Friday. They have a very good front four. And
after
that's
it. Yeah. They had Shaq Leonard today, if that helps. 2018 defensive player of the year.
The back 7, not much. They do not have much right now.
And that's why Allen Dak were putting up 500 yards.
Yeah, no excuses for them, though. They did play 92 snaps on defense just a week earlier. So the D-line, the whole defense, they got tired quickly as the Niners were starting to go through them.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that won't happen again if they meet. But what you said last week, Mark, that we can't necessarily pen this in as an NFC rematch in 7 or 8 weeks, based on what Philly's got to do. And, if they lose to Dallas, they might wind up as the 5 seed, having to travel in that first round playoff.
Well, even if they lose to Dallas, I'd still favor them to win the division. If you look at what Dallas has to do with their last 5 games, it's pretty similar to what the Eagles.
Detroit and Buffalo.
Well, and I think Miami's in there
right.
too,
Yeah.
and Philadelphia. Like, it's a complete gauntlet. And I think there are some losses in there for Dallas most likely. But obviously that's kind of the scenario the Niners are looking for, is for Dallas to beat them and then go ahead and lose themselves, and the Niners can end up with the 1 seed. But yeah, right now my guess is the Niners won't see them again. And if you look at Vegas spreads and odds and whatnot, I think the Niners are going to have a great shot to have home field advantage.
Who do they got? Baltimore. See, it's the Seahawks, then Baltimore, and then how do they finish?
You got the Rams at the end. You got another Arizona in there also, and I'm forgetting one other team.
Washington.
That's it. Yep. Yeah.
The Commanders.
Washington. Yeah, Commanders.
Before we get too far over our skis, the Seattle game will be difficult.
I agree.
Seattle's coming in off additional rest. It's a divisional game.
They need it.
They do need it, and I think from a matchup standpoint, Seattle's going to show better than they did last time. But that's way down the road.
You're right about the rest thing, and I do wonder how that affected yesterday, although a lot of people are using the wrong stat on Twitter, as opposed to just saying, hey, the Eagles had 7 days off and the Niners had 10. Everyone with the Eagles, they played 3 games in 14 days. Well, the Niners played 3 games in 15 days.
Right.
And 1 extra day, if you want to encompass the last 3 games
of course.
For the 49ers. So that's, I'm sure it was a factor. When you give up 6 touchdowns on 6 drives, I don't know. I kind of wipe away a lot of the extraneous things that people put out there. The Niners kicked their ass.
Well, according to Big Dom, they won't next time.
Yeah, exactly. So. Big Dom, who apparently wants to have a big effect on the football game. He'd like to maybe get a uniform for the next one.
What was that?
I mean, to me, the way I look at this game and the Eagles game is if I compare it to an NBA team, I feel like the 49ers, here's a problem with talking about it. You can't say that the 49ers had some advantages coming in the game without most people saying, well, what are you saying? They got lucky? No, I'm not saying they got lucky. I'm saying they were in a more advantageous position than the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of where the game fell, in terms of the schedule, where we are. They took advantage of it, and they beat them by 3 touchdowns. But I don't know how much can be taken out of if they play again in the playoffs and they're both kind of in the same position of rest and health, et cetera.
Yeah, well, totally. I mean, it was a good spot. It was a good spot except for that it was in Philadelphia, which, factor that in however you want.
No doubt.
I just mean scenarios had all been the same in the game we're here.
Well, then.
I mean, that's what's convincing about it for me, is that it was in Philadelphia and you got to the end of a quarter and it looked like the building was shaking.
A.J. Brown's running slant routes, looking like Jerry Rice. I'm like, oh, my God.
And the Niners hadn't completed a pass yet.
No first down.
So all of that happens.
No McCaffrey.
All that happens, and then you go 42-13 from that point forward.
Like, that is
You could talk about it. I'm with you, Steiny. It was a good spot. Come on, man. They boat raced them.
No, they absolutely did. But it's also one of these, like, okay, so the Eagles, they got away with 1 or 2 on the way here. Let's put it that way. Like the last 5 games, they're tough games. Got away with 1 against Kansas City. Like at some point, you're going to get beat. And especially at some point, you're going to get beat in this stretch. This game happens to be a big game for the Eagles, obviously because it's the Niners, but it's a monster game for the Niners, especially because of the home field implications and stuff like that. So I do think that once the Eagles, they had no chance after they got down. I don't think in this game.
Well, I think after they didn't score.
To me, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts didn't try, but they wanted to win the game without having to pay the ultimate price that the Niners would have been willing to pay yesterday because they were in a more desperate position. I don't think, Hurts seemed indecisive.
Well, they made him indecisive.
Yeah.
But he just hung back there and he's done. I'm saying,
take off, dude. What are you doing?
Just do something.
But their containment was fantastic.
No doubt.
Their containment of him, their awareness of how he could beat them.
No crashing
was
in
fantastic.
and you take it off.
Made him throw balls away, or if he was going to run, it was to the sideline for 5 yards.
Man.
But that's kind of what I'm talking about too. And I'm not saying you think about this as you're playing. But you beat Kansas City, you beat Dallas. Now you get the Niners, and they're more prepared, and they scouted you a little bit better because they had more time off. And now you're Jalen Hurts, and you're like, holy hell, we got trouble. They've got a lot of answers.
But you had success those first 2 drives. They couldn't sustain it, man.
And so it's just the work to do to have to beat the Niners in that game after you get down, it's almost like a business decision. And it's not taking anything away from the Niners. It's just saying that they got us beat today, guys. Wow. What can we do?
Sirianni should have made a business decision, get Jalen the hell out of that game.
And for him to come back in that, they got it to 21-13 after the Big Dom episode, Dibs, and it was 3rd and long
that's
for the Niners.
I don't think that, they thought it was over at that point. When they scored after the Big Dom incident, Greenlaw's ejected. They score to make it a one-score game, and the crowd is back in it.
I said they woke him up.
They woke him up. And then what happens? Bippity boop, touchdown. And at that point, it's 28-13. And after that I think it was Debo. I'm just guessing.
Roberto Durant.
It was, pretty much it was night time. But that's when the air came out of the balloon. And by the fourth quarter, the ride or die Eagle faithful, that place was empty.
Here's the thing, Steiny, you're not wrong. I think these things are both true. It was a good spot for the 49ers over the Eagles.
One for Philly.
However, and this is why I don't think the Niners are going to face him again. It's not just about the Niners. It's about what Josh Allen did to him and Dak Prescott did to him, and keep going on and on. Right now, as we stand here today, when we look at these really good teams across the NFL, a lot of them have a flaw or two here or there, a slight flaw. The Niners don't really have one. The Eagles have a big one. In a league that is built around great quarterbacking, at the end of the season, you have a back seven on the defense that is subpar. That doesn't work. Like, Brock Purdy did whatever he wanted. Josh Allen did whatever he wanted.
Sam Howell had 397 against the Eagles secondary.
The Commanders have scored north of 30 twice on this team. How is that team going to go through the playoffs? You can't. You're going to get torched. And so that's why I am selling Eagles stock on even getting to the NFC title game.
Huh?
I don't think it's going to happen. I said it Friday. Enjoy your Niner Eagle game. This is the one you're going to get.
I was telling Steiny, kudos to the secondary, because I swear, guys, I thought that was the weak link of this team. But not only were they turning their head around to the ball, flag or not, just that's how Mike Haynes and Lester Hayes used to do it. And now you got Ward, Thomas showing life. Like, I didn't see that happening.
Ward has been amazing, and Thomas
his
has really
hit early on us.
Jair Brown, bad angle on that big slant that you were talking about. And the rookies got. It's going to be an adjustment now without Hufanga, so your secondary is not going to be as good. But when you've got Charvarius Mooney Ward, and you can say, go get him. Just follow him and guard him.
Like, they want the ball to come to him.
Yeah, he was amazing, especially in that first half.
Man.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Twitch and YouTube powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Like it.
Go ahead.
No,
I have no problem with, and I think this comes with the territory, Tyreek Hill may amass 2,000 yards in the air. It's possible.
Oh, it's almost becoming
But since
probable.
2012, Adrian Peterson, not a quarterback, but Brock Purdy, he beat Dak. I had Dak, Tyreek, and Brock Purdy. Brock beat Dak, even though there's 5 games left. But, man, how can he not be in the lead right now after yesterday? 4 touchdowns.
Don't sleep on Tua, because Tua's going to probably put up 5,000 yards, and then they might wind up being 13-4 or 14-3. And there's
I wonder
a certain
where he's
amount,
at now with Vegas.
Well, there's a certain amount. He's right in there. There's a certain amount of love that Tua's going to get, that Brock Purdy's going to get a similar amount of, not hate, but of dislike, because Tua's story, everybody remembers him from Alabama. He's the kid from Hawaii, and we all remember that concussion.
Right,
that
Cincinnati.
Last year, and he's fought back from that to be this good. And Brock Purdy, he's just a system QB in the eyes of some.
Vegas consensus odds. This is now, you can find houses, and I know that it's bouncing around the internet today. DraftKings has Purdy as the favorite. But the consensus odds, you put all the houses together, slight favorite is Dak, with Brock right behind him. Then it goes Jalen, then Patrick, then Tua, then Lamar. I don't know what the hell he did.
So no Tyreek Hill at all?
He didn't play.
Tyreek is
exactly.
Next. Tyreek is 7th, and he is the top non-quarterback on the board, followed by C.J. Stroud, and Josh Allen remains ahead of Christian McCaffrey, which is stupid because he doesn't even have a winning record. But that's that. You want to know what the Dolphins' issue is, and it's going to end up being Dak's, unless now
the schedule.
It's not the schedule; it's the lack of a signature win. Brock Purdy can sit out here and boast. I pounded Dallas,
no doubt.
Philly,
92
I went
to
to Jacksonville. We went to Thanksgiving in Seattle.
84-29.
What do you want from me? Tua and Tyreek, for that matter, when they faced off against big teams, they've gotten beaten. Same with Dallas, who has not at this hour beaten a team with a winning record. I know Seattle was 6-5 when they beat them. But that's going to be the issue. It's almost kind of Heisman-esque. What'd you do in your biggest game? And that's where Brock has been at his best. So right now, what's working against Brock is that when he had injuries around him, he was lesser. What's working for him, I think, he's been at his best in his biggest
Well, let me
games.
tell Niner fans why they should sleep with a smile on their face. Let's say he doesn't even win it. You're telling me now Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, is an MVP candidate. You got Debo, the Swiss Army knife, Ayuk, Kittle with the finger roll, McCaffrey, Bosa, Greenlaw, Fred Warner, and now the quarterback's bringing something to the party? Like, just to be in the MVP like, that's unstoppable if this is who he is, and I think this is who he is. Like, they're going to be here for a minute trying to get this Lombardi if Brock Purdy is this who we think he is.
As long as he's making $800,000, they're going to be here.
And how long we got? How many?
He's got 2 more years.
Okay.
So at the end of next year, he can get his contract, but it won't kick in until the year after that.
Wow.
Because if he plays like this, he's not going to settle for 30 or 35. And I know, Mark, you and I had this conversation about leverage and all the rest of it and, where he wants to be. But he's going to get so much money that they won't have the same cast of characters around him. But they got the rest of this year and 2 more before they have to worry about writing that check.
That extension conversation can go so many directions. You're absolutely right. Based on what happens between now and then. Are you a 2-time Super Bowl champion quarterback? Or have you disappointed come playoff time? He's going to have 2 full resume runs of the sun. Do you know what today is, by the way? You know what today is?
December.
That's correct. December 4th.
Yeah.
It's the 1-year anniversary of the day Brock Purdy first stepped on the field.
I didn't know.
This is a 1-year anniversary of the day that Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot. So it has been 365 days of Brock. How you doing?
Wow.
How you doing?
The one thing I do kind of wonder, and because I very seldom have thought about it like, right now we're the best team, or right now we're the best team, or that's the team to beat. So if the 49ers are the best team, and you're saying only health can get them beat, what happens if they don't win it, but they're healthy?
Then people will be incredibly justifiably disappointed. And I don't know if I stated it's the only thing. I have enough respect for these other teams that they can go out and have a good day, good game, ball bounce, whatever.
But still, you'd be disappointed.
But my motto is pray for health because I think that's their biggest opponent. I think that's bigger than the Ravens.
And I don't
think
want
it's
to
bigger than the Eagles and the Cowboys is health.
We got a saying on the show, Steiny, it's Super Bowl or bust. That means heads are going to roll. No heads are rolling. So I'm looking at Steiny with the look of, okay, let's say they lost. It would be disappointing, but they're going to be right back next year. I mean, that's how they're set up.
Super Bowl or try again.
No excuses.
Less catchy.
Less
catchy. He's been trying to force that on
a little
me.
bit, though, isn't it? Super Bowl or try again.
Oh, people will be coming for Kyle's head, the fans, but Steiny, the reality
you just said they won't be coming for his head.
No, they can't come for his head because he's got the 6-year extension. But my point is, they're so loaded, they're going to be right back.
I wouldn't say that.
What would
they're so loaded?
Well, no, what I would say is you never know what might happen next year.
True.
What I'm saying is, like, you look at the Warriors, looks like they've gotten pretty old in a hurry. Football, you can get even older in a hurry.
You can.
I mean, look, I'm not saying it's not set up good.
Well,
I should say but it's set up. But, I never assume. Like, football's different that way.
Well, sometimes
I go get Aaron Rodgers. It's over.
And sometimes it's inexplicable.
Exactly.
Why are the Chiefs? Why? Why do you look like that?
Yeah, because you have no playmakers.
Well, I mean, that's what we've grabbed. I don't know if we're right.
Yeah.
It's not like they've got nobody. I mean, Kid Rice looks good. He's got Kelsey. Pacheco's a good running back.
But even look at the best team that we've seen in the past 20 years, the Tom Brady New England Patriots. They didn't win it every year.
Correct.
There were years where they ran into Peyton, and then they lost games that maybe they shouldn't have, and Eli got them twice, and so. It's not like just because you have Mahomes and Andy Reid that your birthright is 12-5.
No.
And it kind of speaks to what you're saying, Steiny, about you just never know what can happen year to year.
I mean, I'm sorry. Dude.
No, you're great.
But I think it's possible. Like, let's say the Eagles don't finish strong and they lose their first playoff game or second. It's like the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl last year. They get beat late. Everything looks good, but you still got to play 17 games.
Right.
And, who are Cincinnati might have been, by the time the year ended, they might have been the best team in football this year. We'll never know, obviously, because of Burrow. You just never know, and football's so...
Plus, little things change every year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, we all went, it's rematch. And I pointed to, like Javon Hargrave was on one team one time and on the other team this time. Like, it's not coaches leave. D'Amico Ryans ran defense last year when they played. Now Steve Wilkes is running it. Like
Super Steve, we call him.
Tell you what, he does love himself a sideline, doesn't he?
They
are good.
Oh, they balling.
With Steve Wilkes on the side.
888-957-9570 if you're still down on Steve. We spent 2 or 3 days burying Steve.
No,
2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
You got the whole bye week.
Well, that whole
you were
week,
off.
yeah.
It was all about Steve Wilkes.
Told you he was built for this.
And they're doing this without
Yeah.
Hufanga, as you mentioned. The secondary, man.
Veteran host takes the bye week off.
Hey, interesting that they were everybody's talking about how disciplined they were on defense and how unselfish they were, and they're not playing without their riskiest defender. Ooh, the guy who takes the most chances. Hufanga.
Actually,
I
Bet you didn't think of that.
one of the few times I was frustrated in the game because, like, when you watch on Thanksgiving night and Brock throws a pick six, you're like,
we got a game.
why'd you just let them back in the game? Same thing with it's interesting you use the word discipline because the only time I got frustrated on the couch yesterday was when the 49ers were up 21-6, and I felt like that was a gifted touchdown. You had a face mask penalty on the kickoff to start the whole thing at midfield.
All right.
They get one first down, and Dre Greenlaw, who apparently is want to do this once a game,
He did it to Pollard and
go
got away
sideways.
with it.
Now, we can get into Big Dom and getting thrown out. That's different. But Dre, look, it's part of what makes him him.
Yeah.
It's funny that his first name is Dre. Because that apparently is just how we do it around here. If your first name is Dre, you're going to push the envelope a little too far. But the lack of discipline on that drive for the moment got the Eagles right back into the game.
It was.
Thank goodness for Debo.
Yeah.
So then it was okay. But, just something. I mean, if you're a coach, you got to be mad at something after every game. And if I'm in the film room with the Niners coaches, I'm making a deal about that. Yeah. I'm making a deal about that.
Draymond Greenlaw. That's
what it is.
That's the reason.
That's what these people are supposed
All right, Jets.
That meme was up 13 seconds. He hadn't even gotten to the locker room yet, and there's his jersey on Draymond's head.
Man.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, they got to know something's happening before.
All right, guys, we'll bring it home, and big win for the Niners.
So excited, Steiny.
It's going to be a great last 5 or 6 weeks.